Hey, what's up? This is the Game Forums Extended Forum, episode 30. I'm Zach,
And I'm Lindsay.
and today we got a whole bunch of news. We're going to be talking about Sony, Fall Guys coming to PlayStation Plus, being the most downloaded, Call of Duty having some ups with their trailer, some more Gamescom news. But first, what have you been playing?
So, I actually had a pretty busy week. I didn't have a whole lot of time to play. I did jump in, play a little bit more Ghost of Tsushima, and I played a bit of Fall Guys. Definitely having fun with Fall Guys.
Yeah, Fall Guys is great. Have you gotten a crown yet?
I have not. I've gotten pretty close a couple more times. I haven't actually got one yet.
Yeah, I haven't won another one, but I did get close, and I choked, and I meant to jump and grab the crown, but I stopped, and so I lost momentum, and the guy behind me just kept going. He jumped and grabbed it. It was really fun. I immediately hopped back in though. It was great.
Oh yeah, I mean I've had a lot of fun with it. I've gotten so close I can taste it a couple of times, and then somebody ends up getting there just little bit faster than me, and I'm like, oh, so close. I have to try it again.
Yeah, that's one thing I really do enjoy about the game is that it's like immediate. Like you can just keep going, no big deal. I really did enjoy that. So that's all you've played? You got
Yeah,
those
that's
two
pretty
games?
much all I had time for this week.
Okay, I mean that's fine. So this week I've started the second expansion in Control. It is a lot bigger than I was expecting, at least based off of the map size. I kind of get an idea of like where the game is going to be going and stuff like that. Uh, I will have a review up for that as soon as I can. There should be a review up by now of the first DLC called the Foundation. I'll have that. That should be up by then. Now, there are some cool things like story moments that I want to talk to you about because I know you don't really care either one about Control and you haven't played Alan Wake either. I won't say on here for spoiler sakes because it literally just came out, I think, on Friday. Uh, so that's definitely kind of grabbing my attention, blowing me away. I'm still playing Trials of Mana, which is an action JRPG. I think I'm 10 hours into it, maybe a third of the way through. It's the story is okay. It's grabbed my attention enough to like I want to keep playing it. Uh, the the loop of killing enemies, seeing their health bar goes down, the loot you get, reward. It's just a fun kind of a podcast game. You can kind of listen to music or listen to a podcast while you're just clearing out dungeons and stuff. It's really fun. Other than that, I bought Project Cars 3, so I've been playing that. And it's a typical racing game. The career mode has been revamped to where it feels more like you start small and you can either upgrade your car to take it to new classes or you can just buy new cars outright. So it feels much better than just like here's random car X, you race it, and then you go to the next championship, and it's a completely different car. Then you go to the next one, it's a completely different car. It actually has like a bit of a progression system. There's an XP bar. They're definitely trying to like make you feel like you're progressing, which is something that's very not typically found in racing games. So other than that, I mean, I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's definitely something fun to play, keeping me busy until like the major releases come out. So I mean, it's about to get heavy. A lot of games are about to start coming out.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Moving on to the news of the week, though. So, Fall Guys, speaking of Fall Guys, is the most downloaded PlayStation Plus game of all time. Which, I mean, it's not really surprising, but it also outbeat Rocket League, which is that is kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy, especially since it's only been out a couple of weeks. It's beat everything.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that it's done more than Rocket League, and that was I think 2015 or 2016 game that came out on PlayStation Plus. That's incredible.
All right, next up, we have a bit of interesting news out of Call of Duty. So, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War has just come out, and they just put a trailer out. And in the trailer, there's like a half-second scene of the Tiananmen Square massacre that happened in China. China really did not like this. They like to act like Tiananmen Square never happened. They've pretty well tried to erase it from their history and pretty well jumped on Activision pretty fast. And Activision apparently was all too fine with just taking down all those trailers, re-editing it and then putting up the new trailer. So now we have a game all about, Black Ops and how everyone wants to cover up everything and government conspiracies when the actual game itself has been edited and covered up due to a government conspiracy. I find just a little bit of hypocrisy in this.
Yeah, and Activision is, of course, no stranger to being political. You know, with the Hong Kong statement made by the one Hearthstone player, it seems kind of like that's not good for business. I definitely don't want to give them my money, but I know there is a workaround if you just get a used game like from GameStop, so that way the money doesn't directly go to Activision. But you also kind of like, well, you're not really screwing over Activision. You're also screwing over the developers that probably have no say so. Actually, no, they definitely don't have a say so in anything happening with that. It is pretty unfortunate though. That's a really crappy move to do, and it's like it was obvious. I don't see why they had to edit like the international trailers. Like why couldn't they just edit the one that was in China? Why did it have to be the
Well,
one that
see,
like we watched?
that's also kind of like China's power. They're not they don't really care if it's just us. They want it all
Yeah,
gone. Like their stipulation to Activision, I am sure, was if you don't remove this clip from all of your trailers, you will not be allowed to sell it in China. Period. And
yeah.
Activision's like, oh, that's a lot of money, and we don't have a backbone, so you got it. We're taking that right out of all these trailers. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure 100%, but I think Tencent might have a stake in Activision. I don't know if it's a huge one, but I know that they gotta have like Tencent's got to be a part of it. I would think.
I'm sure it probably ties in there as well, because if they own any of it, the government can compel Chinese companies to act on its interest. So if Tencent has a large stake in Activision or controlling stake in Activision, whether the board of Tencent wanted to or not is doesn't matter.
Yeah,
China says do this, or we will replace you as members of the board. There is nowhere close to the amount of separation between companies and businesses in the United States as there are companies and businesses in China. China, the government pretty well strictly controls everything.
oh man, that's some Game of Thrones level stuff happening.
Yeah, a little bit, except, it's like billions of people instead of like, you know, thousands of people in like a medieval organization kind of thing.
Yeah, it is true. So moving on to some semi good news, depending on where you're from. Sony had a investor call, which is interesting that they're doing that. Normally, that leads to bigger announcements. But one thing that was brought up in the articles about all of this is that Sony is exploring the idea of porting more of their first party games to PC. That was a worry that some people had with they announced the Horizon Zero Dawn was coming to PC, and everyone was like, "Oh, they're just gonna throw everything out on PC now." That's not really the case. It's not going to be like on launch. They're going to port it to PC. It's probably going to be the 2 to 3 years later. So maybe next year we'll see God of War come to PC, something like that. Just I mean they're just it's it's kind of a good strategy because you got to think everybody that's playing Horizon Zero Dawn on PC are probably hopefully like, oh my god, this is a really good game. I want to play the sequel. Oh well, I have to get it on PS5. I have to buy a PS5 and have to get the sequel. That's a if that works, that's a cool marketing strategy. So we'll have to wait and see how that comes to fruition. Also, they talked about they're wanting to focus on more VR, which I bet is really exciting to you.
Oh, yeah, I definitely love VR stuff. I'm really glad Sony is doubling down on it and not just abandoning it like the Vita. The Vita, I think, could have been extremely successful in its own right, but it just didn't have the backing of Sony. But VR, especially for the PlayStation VR, seems to really be taking off. It's the most successful VR headset, and Sony keeps throwing a lot of stuff in there. It has a lot of support for the indie development community around VR as well. And I mean, they keep taking other titles that have been exclusives for other VR headsets and managing to get them to sign licensing deals to come over to Sony. Was it Vader Immortal just came out on PlayStation VR? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see a continue of a growing trend for VR in the future.
Yeah, and ending this little trio of Sony news, it seems we're getting emails on how to get first dibs on the PS5 pre-orders. They're kind of sending out an email to select people for you to pre-register, and then it seems like maybe out of that pre-registry, they're going to pick a select few to have like the first option to pre-order directly from the website. This this Now there's two things. It's either they are very uh, not so excited about this and that they're like too many people are going to be pre-ordering this. We need to try to layer it to where the systems don't crash. We know it. Or this is a total manufactured hype to like build, supply and demand. It's kind of like what happened with the Wii, except the Wii was real. This could be like, hey, we're not going to have any consoles. Everybody better buy this, or you're not going to get one forever. When really, there's going to be a substantial amount. There's like 5 to 6 million on launch. That's a good amount compared to what they normally have with the PS4. Obviously, there's more PS4 owners than there were PS3 owners, but in the middle of a kind of a economic pandemic, I wouldn't expect a lot of people to go out day one and spend 500, six
I
hundred
think
dollars.
people are going to sell their children to go out day one and buy one. Like, be like, well, it's either eat or get a PlayStation, so I guess I'm starving this month.
Yeah,
People will always find a way to get these kind of things that they really want. I mean, how else do Apple and Samsung sell their newest
true.
iPhones and Androids for like $1,500 a pop, and they keep selling them year after year after year. I mean, there is a large demand for this stuff, and I think gaming in general is way bigger than it's been in the past. I
Yeah,
think that as soon as the PlayStation 5 comes out, I mean, if they have 5 or 6 million units, I think it's going to blow out. And due to everything going on with COVID, I think it's probably going to take them a while to get some back in stock.
yeah. I mean, it might even take a little while before things start to it could be like, hey, you pre-ordered from PlayStation, it's going to arrive November, blah blah blah. But it may be like, hey, it doesn't show up to your house till a week later because of reasons. So that's going to be it's going to be interesting to see what's happening. Now, kind of on a side note, there's some rumblings that Sony is going to be announcing some stuff soon. There's been rumors here and there, so I guess we'll keep a lookout for what's going on. I don't know. I mean, it could be as early as next week by the time you're hearing this, uh, we could know when pre-orders are going to go live, which is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it could literally be any day.
Yes.
Um, so, getting into our last bit of news here, we just put out a Gamescom top 5 games that were our favorites from the presentation this year. And now we're going to be touching on some other ones that we feel like were newsworthy but didn't quite make it into the top 5. So first up, we got Fall Guys Season 2. They showed some video about some new outfits and some new courses to go through. I think we still got like 30 or almost 40 days left in Season 1. So
Yeah.
about a month away from now. But I've really been enjoying Fall Guys, and the fact that they already have this much content lined up, I think is a pretty good sign that this will probably be sticking around for a while.
Yeah, and it looks like it's not just like, I mean, it is kind of a reskin, but they're doing a little more to the maps than just a reskin. It looked like they're adding the option to like move ramps and stuff to like mess with other people.
Yeah, it looked like totally new obstacle courses to run through. All the new obstacle courses for this season seem to have a theme of like medieval stuff and castles. And look like you personally couldn't push one of these things. You had to get like groups of people to do it, but then there's going to be groups of people pushing against it, trying to keep players from getting to the next spot. So it's going to be a little bit of organized chaos.
Moving on to the next one, we had Dragon Age 4, which I'd hardly call this an announcement of any sort. This was literally like, hey, yeah, we're building a game. It might be Dragon Age 4, it might not. We have no idea. It's literally, maybe a month or two old, if that. It looked like they got fresh out of pre-production and they're like, yeah, we're actually making the game now. But that
I did
that
not
didn't do anything
understand
for
why they
me.
even had this trailer. There's like no content in it at all. It's like, okay, here's some, concept art, and here's like a couple like super rough scripts of like some people doing some attacks against like a gray background. I'm like, why are we even seeing this? This looks like it's going to be years away.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's what was it, 2018? They at the Game Awards in December is when they teased Dragon Age 4, and February of 2019, Anthem came out, and so that was when they were like, "Oh, we know Anthem's not going to be that great. Let's go ahead and announce the next game early." And I imagine they were like, "Oh crap, we got to say something about this game." So the fact that they announced it in December, almost 2 years ago, and this is how far they've gotten, that shows that that was totally just to remedy the fact that they knew Anthem was going to underdeliver like substantially.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, we got a new trailer for Call of Duty Cold War. Um, so I thought this was interesting. They brought in Ronald Reagan for this.
Yeah, he actually came in and did some voiceover too.
Apparently, yeah. I was like, what? Okay, I get that they have to bring in like star power and all this kind of stuff, but I'm like, I still think it's like weird. Like Ronald Reagan's in there and it's like, I want you to kill these people. Go out and do it. You're a patriot. Um, However, it did show a little bit more footage. It looks like he'll be jumping around different eras. I'd kind of thought they might do this since it's just titled Cold War, but it
Yeah,
looks like it's going to be jumping around a lot. Looks like there's some Vietnam in there. Looks like you're going to have some other conflicts in some areas, maybe some Afghanistan. Um, so I think this will be pretty cool to see something instead of just like the whole game takes place in like a week or two, something that takes place over the, like decades. So that I'm pretty interested in.
yeah, it looks cool. I mean, the campaign definitely grabbed my attention, but with the whole trailer thing, that kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that. The fact that this game had such a quick turnaround has me a little worried about the quality, but I mean, I think there's a multiplayer open beta probably sometime in October, so I mean, we'll at least get hands on, get to try it out, see what's there. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it's Call of Duty, so what do you expect? But we had Star Wars Squadrons, and they showed a bit more of the campaign, and this looked like a lot better than I was expecting. And was that one of those characters? Is that from the actual like canon, like from the movies? Was it Wedge?
Yeah, Wedge was what was it, Luke's friend,
Yeah.
and he was also in one of the Death Star attacks.
Okay, okay, cool. See, I saw that and I'm like, okay, wait, are they okay? It looks like they're kind of going more all in with this than even I was expecting.
Yeah, I was expecting, like a little bit of stuff for it, but I mean, they're really seeming to like pump this up as a big thing on this. One thing I thought was kind of cool in one of the missions they showed, it showed like that space station that had like the three kind of arms off shooting off of it.
Yeah,
Um, that was actually one of the space stations back from the original X-wing versus Tie Fighter games. One of the reasons it looked like that is because they didn't have a very high polygon count. But I played the ever living crap out of those games, so I was like, oh my god, they've got like some stuff tying back into like the original X-wing and Tie Fighter stuff. I'm like, I am totally down for this game. Like, did you ever play the one VR mission in Battlefront One?
no, I never did that. What is it?
Um,
Do you need the actual like Battlefront 1 game or is it
Yes, I
separate?
think
Oh,
you
okay.
do actually need the game for that. When Rogue One came out, they added in one VR mission for free if you owned the game. Um,
Okay.
so I downloaded and played that. That was a ton of fun. It was just really short.
Yeah.
So a whole game on something like that, I'm right there for it. I'm like, sign me up, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to pick this up. Maybe not at launch. Right now, my plan is to hopefully get a PS5 and then turn my PS4 into just a VR station. So that way, I'm not constantly having to switch HDMI inputs. With the PSVR unit doesn't have 4K and HDR pass through, which is really unfortunate when they knew they were going to have a PS4 Pro. Like they came out around the same time, I think at least a year apart, but they would know, and so
It
that's
might
really
have been
unfortunate.
cost effective stuff
True,
because I think they probably designed the PlayStation VR to be as cheap as possible, and that was kind of their selling point.
that is true. So, but either way, when once the PS5 is out, I'll turn my PS4 into just a VR machine. I've picked up a few games on sale that I'll play when that happens on VR. But yeah, Star Wars. I mean, it's only $40, so by the time I would pick it up, it might be on sale for cheaper. So it's that seems like a good deal either way.
Yeah. Another interesting one. I probably won't end up getting this game. I just thought it was kind of a cool concept. Is Spell Break. So in this one, it's a looks like a PvP arena style fighter game, but you have spells. So instead of like shooting people with guns and stuff, it looks like you have gauntlets, and different gauntlets have different abilities. And of course, you got two hands, so you can use two gauntlets. But it looks like you can kind of combine some of the abilities of each together. So if you have like, fire and you have wind, you can make like a fire tornado, or all sorts of crazy stuff. Um, Again, this one just looked a little bit interesting to me. It's probably not quite my style, but I like games that try and do new things.
Yeah, speaking of trying new things, Dual Universe, which is basically you build space stations and spacecrafts and like what exactly is this game? Because I mean, it kind of looked incredible and I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, from what they're saying, you'll be able to like build your own spaceship. You'll be able to build your own bases. They showed like a whole bunch of people getting together and pretty much like building a city from scratch. Um, and they said that every player will be on the same server. So it looks kind of like No Man's Sky ish, but I guess you'll be like mining resources and doing combat missions and stuff to get resources to like build things. And I could totally see like clans getting together and building like massive cities with like hundreds or thousands of people. And I'm like, that's getting pretty crazy. I mean, that's definitely getting out there as far as like, what games can do nowadays. Another cool game that came out, another VR game, is Traffic Jams. This one just looks neat. Um, uh, Looks like you'll be directing traffic, and a whole bunch of like, looks more cartoony and wacky. A whole bunch of cars will be coming. You'll have to like tell them to stop, redirect them. There'll be people like moving back and forth the streets. They showed like a guy, the stereotypical like two workers carrying a plate of glass, and the car rams through it and stuff. It just looked like it'd be a cheap, fun VR game. Nothing too crazy out of it.
Yeah, it did look pretty fun. And capping off this list, we have Hypercharge Unboxed, which I love because it's basically Toy Story and Toy Soldiers and Call of Duty combined. But I really don't like that it's only coming to Switch. Hopefully it'll come to, like home console, PS4 and Xbox, PC eventually. But I mean, I guess to be fair, if it's only on the Switch, I'll suck it up and deal with it because I mean that it looks really fun. It looks way better than I was expecting.
Yeah, I always kind of get into games like this too. Like, what was it? The Toy Soldiers strategy third person fighter game.
Yeah,
I ended up buying that one. That one was pretty fun. Um, I don't know, it's just a different style aesthetic for shooters. And lastly, there's a new Zoids game coming out. Um, so for those of you who don't know, Zoids is like a oh lord, how to put it, like a mechanical combat anime where like all the mechs are shaped like different animals. I used to watch it like forever ago. This game does not look very good though. It's a looks like a one-on-one like fighter style game, like Mortal Kombat or Tekken or something like that. Um, but the scale for the Zoids is like all wrong. Like these things should be like the size of a house, and the person's like safe inside of a cockpit kind of thing. And it looks like they've scaled them down to like about the size of a car, and they're like riding on top of it. And if you're like, shooting like a machine gun at like a giant metal thing, you don't want to be riding on top of the metal thing getting shot at. So I'm kind of like, I don't quite get what they're going for, but maybe. I just thought I'd throw it in there since it's a show I used to watch like forever ago, and I didn't think they were still doing anything with. All right. Tell us about any games that you thought were interesting from Gamescom this year. And until next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.